First and foremost, let us welcome His Excellency Emerson Mnangagwa to take his seat up here. President of Zimbabwe, Your Excellency, please come up. Okay, he can get his round of applause now, sir. Thank you.
Your Excellency, I'll begin with you and your perspective on how we can really leverage business and ensure policies are in place to kick this off in the benefits of growth in the African people. Let's take a look at your profile. I think you have a unique perspective. You, sir, have been a freedom fighter. You, sir, have a good understanding of the law. You have an understanding of private sector, you've been in the public sector, and now, of course, you are the man in charge. So let me start with the big question. What must we do in terms of policies to ensure that this continental free trade area really does work for economic growth, but also for the prosperity of the African people? Please.
Thank you very much for the opportunity for me to articulate the views of my country in relation to this agreement, the African Free Trade Area. With relation to how this process will unfold in Zimbabwe, once we sign the agreement, we have a process which we have to follow in order to implement. The process is that initially the agreement is to be subjected to what we call the Cabinet Committee on Legislation, which goes through the agreement to see whether any aspects of the agreement may be in conflict with our domestic law. And then when it passes, it goes to the Public Agreements Advisory Committee of Government, again to see whether, with relation to other protocols the government has committed itself, there's any conflict. And if it passes, then it comes to our cabinet. And if it passes cabinet, we then gazette it. The purpose of gazetting it is to make sure that the public sector as well as the private sector have opportunity of understanding and debating the issues. We give a period of about 30 days for that process. Thereafter, it goes to Parliament. Then in Parliament, of course, the process are done with 2 houses. Once it is passed, then of course it takes effect and implementation will then take effect. We do this in order to make sure we domesticate the agreement in terms of municipal laws, and so that we make regulations governing the various aspects of other protocols, as well as incorporating the implementation of this particular protocol. It is also very necessary that once we do it, because this time around, it is absolutely necessary that the public sector, that is government, parastatals, and the private sector should dialogue, should talk to each other. There should always be the need for the private sector and government coming together and say, what type of environment would you want the government to create in order for business to thrive? And you also say, as government, what we think the private sector should do for us to be able to facilitate and support it. And then with that dialogue and conversation, we should be able to work together, then move forward together. I think this is an opportunity which Africa should not miss.
Thank you so much for that. I love your reference to the dialogue, because building trust is a key part of this process between the different players. Before I move on with the next question to our next panelist, let me just tap into your will. And as you answered that question, there were a lot of ifs to the process, and I think President Kagame spoke to that as well earlier. Can you give us your will and commitment and passion to ensure you see this through? What level does that stand at?
Let me say, it is very opportune. In fact, as the chairperson of the African Union has said, as well as President Kagame has said, this should have been achieved perhaps 40 years ago. We have been behind. I believe possibly there was not much political will. But today, I think that there is political will. In respect of SADC, as other panelists have said here, we are moving forward. There is huge integration in various aspects and sub-sectors of the economy. We've moved forward, and we are committed. The issue is that the pace at which we are moving is the question which we all would want, firstly, as a region, SADC, and together with the rest of Africa, we should increase the pace. I believe that political commitment is there, but the pace at which each individual member state may move may be the issue. But as far as my country is concerned, things are now different. Zimbabwe is open for business.
Things are different. Zimbabwe is open for business. A question was asked about the role of government in assisting this whole move by maybe having certain procurement rules. There are other things I'm sure government can do. Maybe you can inspire us as we close this session. What do you see in terms of government really being a facilitator, and what can you commit? Thank you.
Thank you very much. First, I should say that capital is very sensitive. It goes where it feels comfortable, where it is not threatened. Whether an economy is big or as small as mine, but if the environment, the economic environment is comfortable for capital, it will come. For Zimbabwe, which has been under sanctions for about 18 years, we have to leapfrog to catch up with other developing countries. So we must create an environment where capital must feel comfortable. Secondly, I think it is also necessary that we look at an area of education which we have not touched on. I believe that our universities and institutions of higher learning should begin to produce products that talk to our vision as an African continent, rather than continue to churn out graduates premised on Western or Eastern education trust. It is necessary that, again, our industry and commerce talk to our institutions so that their curriculum produce products which relate and is able to talk to our own industries. And an issue was raised about both sovereignty and the flight of capital, or capital being taken out of our respective jurisdictions and banked outside. If you look to today's news in Zimbabwe, I'm only 3 months in office, and we discovered that something like 1.4 billion had gone out illegally, and I gave a 3 months moratorium. And by yesterday, nearly 600 million brought back. The balance, I think, is in process in coming back. But the issue is of trust and confidence. As long as you create an environment where business feels confident to participate, both domestic as well as foreign business in the economy, they will come and they participate. So, yes, my brother says that sovereignty does not bring food to the table, but business does. I can also say business where there's no sovereignty may not succeed. You need such sovereignty which creates an environment, a situation where there's peace, there's stability, there's order, the rule of law. And that is aspect of sovereignty we must have. You are looking at sovereignty in a negative manner, but it can be looked at positively and create that environment. As President Kagame said, the facts have been laid on the table. What is required to be done has been made clear. The roadmap is there. It is us, the member states, to say, let us run the race and reach the goal. I thank you.
Let us run the race and reach the goal. Asanteni sana, a big round of applause, bigger than that, for the panel, please.